Indiana Fever many fans is still poking fingers at head coach Stephanie White for actually making the game not entertaining anymore, bro. This motion offense has to be addressed, and Stephanie White has to be held accountable because it's truly the offense that she's running, and it is not for Caitlyn Clark at this point. Now, both Caitlyn Clark and Stephanie White spoke to the media immediately after.
Caitlyn Clark is being failed by the WNBA. Despite bringing unprecedented eyes to the league, the signs are everywhere. Suspicious officiating, baffling coaching decisions, and a palpable shift in her play. Is she being protected or intentionally pushed to the brink? The truth behind the fanfare is far darker than you imagine.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, like not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to play fast. But I mean, I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do, and you know, that wasn't why we lost.
I can't hold you, man. That kind of looked like she let that slip out, man. I don't know. But I mean, we all see it. When they play slow, it's just not a good team, man. They're not as good as we see that they could be, right? So they need to play fast, man. I think, you know, they don't necessarily look that good when they're playing half-court ball. Maybe taking something from the Valkyries, man. The Valkyries run, all right? They be running.
This revised intro directly states the problem. Caitlyn Clark is being failed, immediately lists the key issues to pique curiosity, and then escalates the stakes with intentionally pushed to the brink before promising a far darker truth. It's designed to be punchy and provocative right from the start.
The league needs to take care of Caitlyn, not for special treatment purposes, but that's who everybody's there to see. Everybody wants to see Caitlyn Clark play. And if you let other teams and other people beat the shit out of her, she's going to spend 2 weeks out injured. And your attendance is going to drop because people aren't going to get the chance to see her. And if you actually want to be paid the same as the NBA players, obviously not by actual dollar for dollar, but for revenue percentage, you need to protect her. You need her to be playing at her best and not be having the shit.
Now, if you'd like me to reintegrate this into the full script or make any other adjustments, just let me know. Okay, here's the full script with the new, punchier introduction, precise sectioning, and all your previous guidelines still in mind. I've ensured to avoid mentioning the channel name as requested.
Las Vegas Aces defeated the Indiana Fever 89-81. And this game was disappointing for many fans, not only for the fact that it seemed like the Fever had this one in the bag, but they kind of gave it away at the end of the game, but also because it seemed like there was something off with this Fever team. They didn't have the same energy and spark that we all know and love. So many fans are asking, what is going?
Caitlyn Clark is being failed by the WNBA. Despite bringing unprecedented eyes to the league, the signs are everywhere. Suspicious officiating, baffling coaching decisions, and a palpable shift in her play. Is she being protected or intentionally pushed to the brink? The truth behind the fanfare is far darker than you imagine.
I think I have figured out the solution to the Indiana Fever's problems. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. This is what we got to do. We got to put Caitlyn Clark off ball. We need to run a motion offense. So when the defense takes away what Caitlyn Clark does best, we have other players that can still perform. So when she does have bad games, we're not completely dead in the water. I think that is the best way to move forward with this Indiana Fever team.
You know what? I don't think Stephanie White is like a fan of Caitlyn's demon time and, you know, her getting all riled up and pumping up the crowd. I don't think she's a fan of that shit. Some coaches, like, they don't like that shit. For example, when Allen Iverson came into the league, him and Larry Brown did not get along because Larry Brown used to tell him to tone it down and not be himself and stuff like that. But I think that's what's going on with this team right now. Because when I was watching that game, man, it just did not feel right. Like, she just looked like she was just so sad about playing. It felt like she was being forced to play a certain type of way.
The frustration is palpable, even from Caitlyn herself. Immediately after a tough loss, when pressed by reporters, she chose her words carefully, but the message was clear. She spoke of the team's need to play a little bit faster, subtly hinting at a disconnect. While acknowledging the coach's directives, that slight hesitation That almost imperceptible pause felt like a silent critique. When the team plays slow, something just feels off. They don't look like the explosive unit they could be, not when they're stuck in half-court sets. It's as if they've forgotten the very tempo that made Clark a sensation, leaving fans to wonder if the team's sluggishness is truly on her.
First talk about Caitlyn Clark. So she struggled once again in this game. She was 7 for 20 from the field and 1 for 10 from 3, which puts her at 1 for 17 over the past few games. And if you're a fan of Caitlyn Clark, you know that this is so unlike her. She is arguably the best shooter in the WNBA, and she is having a significant cold streak over the past 2 games. But her missing shots isn't actually what bothers me. The thing that bothered me most in the game yesterday was the one shot that she passed up. Now, she had been missing a few shots, and if you guys were on my live stream, I said the thing that she needs to do is to continue shooting. Shooters shoot. The only way to break a cold streak is to continue shooting.
But pace isn't the only issue. This woman is navigating a battlefield, not a basketball court. Caitlyn Clark is running on fumes, caffeine, and sheer willpower, while the league throws every possible roadblock at her. She's become a human punching bag, enduring a barrage of unlawful screens and hard bumps. The officials, meanwhile, seem to have adopted a choose-your-own-adventure rulebook where contact on Clark is routinely ignored, but any brush from her results in a whistle.
Wait, what'd you say? Wait, what? Did you just tell me that Stephanie White went on an interview tour this whole entire offseason saying exactly that? Did you just tell me Stephanie White went on an So how come when Caitlyn Clark has a bad game, this team looks like absolute dog shit? How come when Caitlyn Clark isn't busy backpacking this team, it looks like absolute dog shit, coach? Just a question. Just a question. What we saw today, folks, I feel bad for everybody that had to sit through that. Everybody that wasted 2 hours and 25 minutes watching the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces, I feel bad that we had to sit through that. That was a tough watch.
Well, I think you have to look at things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlyn Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlyn Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her.
It's no longer about missed calls. It's a full-blown experimental science project where officials test how much one player can endure before turning into emotional jelly. Someone sneezes on her? Play on. She breathes near someone? That's a major foul and a multi-game suspension. This extreme physical contact is beyond aggressive. It feels genuinely questionable. There are situations with less contact in everyday life. And the league's response? Silence. Or worse, passive-aggressive social media posts pretending everything's fine while their brightest star gets slammed into irrelevance.
Well, I be damned. I be damned. 7 for 20 from the field. 1 for 10 from the three-point line. And look at those turnovers, 8 turnovers. She leads the league in turnovers. But guess what? Her Clarkies are only going to be impressed, and they're going to brag about the 19 points and 10 assists. Me personally, I'm all about efficiency. I'm concerned about those last 3, them turnovers, which she leads the league in turnovers. She is shooting horrible from the field. And as far as them three-pointers, in the last 2 games, she's only made 1 three-pointer, and that's the one against the Aces.
The guidance, or lack thereof, from the sidelines is equally bewildering. The team's offensive strategy is undefined, their defense almost non-existent. It's like Caitlyn walked into a franchise built entirely of fragile, unstable, confusing furniture. The coach appears on the sidelines, gesturing like she's ordering coffee in a loud drive-thru, while the game spirals into chaos. One moment she wants fast pace, the next she's yelling about patience.
That the Indiana Fever will try to be that team that runs you off the floor, that hustles. I felt like they were the deepest team. Like looking at the roster, man, they actually have some players that could run the floor. And I'm just like, dang, bro, it's really crazy to see that they're not really trying to run the floor like I would expect them to. And also using Michaela Timpson. Like, that is some young pair of legs, man. You should be using Michaela Timpson to help you run the floor, play lockdown defense, hustle defense, winning the 50-50 balls. You need young legs to do that, man.
The players are caught in a full-speed existential crisis, trying to decipher which version of the plan they're following. There's no system, no direction, just vague vibes, and not the good kind. It's baffling when Clark, arguably the league's top shooter, is consistently missing shots and passing up opportunities. This isn't just a cold streak, it's a symptom of a deeper issue, making you wonder if the team's struggles are less about Clark's personal performance and more about the chaotic environment she's in. This has led many to point fingers at the current offensive scheme and its effectiveness.
Sorry, but this is a regular season game. There's no player that's going to be that depressed about a loss. The emotion that she's having right now, that's emotion that you have when you lose a championship. But they didn't lose a championship. So it's only one other thing. It's the coach. I knew something was up, y'all. I played basketball all my life. I played point guard. There was something off about Miss Caitlyn when I was watching that Aces game. And I couldn't put my finger on it. It just seemed like Miss Caitlyn, she was definitely unmotivated. She looked defeated the whole game. She didn't look like she was having fun. And that is always because of the coach. Always.
The toll on Clark isn't just physical, it's profoundly emotional and mental. She looks drained, spiritually exhausted. Her game, once crisp and electric, now looks like it's buffering. Her passes are a little late, her confidence a little shaken. She's hesitating where she once attacked with bold genius. Imagine trying to execute elite-level basketball while constantly checking your back for flying elbows, and your bench for signs of sentient life. At this rate, Caitlyn might need a break or a fresh start, because what's being done to her isn't just bad basketball, it's psychological pressure. This league, which begged for her brilliance, seems content to grind her down to dusty highlight reels and regret. She's slowly being worn down by a league that brought her in for her impact, but appears to forget how to nurture it. This kind of consistent drain impacts not just stats, but deeply affects a player's core.
Reason any professional athlete or any ball player is not having fun on the field, because this is the game they love. They've been loving this since they was a kid. Because the only reason a player is not having a good time playing the game that they love is because the coach is trying to put shackles on them, trying to control them too much. With a player like Caitlyn, you gotta let them loose. This is something that Steve Kerr had to realize when he was dealing with Steph. Steph was shooting all them logo threes. He was shooting all the shots early in the shot clock. Steve Kerr would shake his head. He'd be like, oh, what are you doing? But after a while, he had to let this player do his thing. Bro, that was the first time I ever seen Caitlyn Clark walk the ball down the court. And I'm not...
This isn't an isolated incident. It feels like a pattern. The entire league appears to have unleashed difficulties on her, then shrugged like it's all just part of the culture. Competitors aren't just defending her, they're actively challenging, and it often feels personal. The fouls aren't subtle anymore, they're practically part of the choreography. And no one's stepping in, no one's pulling the emergency brake. They're too busy enjoying the increased attention while their most valuable asset is being chipped away at. This toxic feedback loop keeps rewarding the chaos while dismantling everything Clark stands for: grace, precision, leadership, elevation. They don't want her to shine, they want her to survive. Barely. They want her to conform, shrink, and second-guess every move. And it extends beyond the court. A recent criticism from someone who should know better felt less like analysis and more like character damage. It added another layer of frustration to an already challenging situation, delivered without warning or context, aimed straight at a 22-year-old navigating the biggest spectacle in sports. Her recent stats reflect the dire consequences of this environment: a low field goal percentage, a poor showing from three-point range, and leading the league in turnovers. While her loyal supporters might focus on her points and assists, the efficiency numbers and turnovers paint a different picture. She's not enjoying the game, a disturbing sign for any athlete who loves what they do. When a player appears unmotivated or defeated, as Clark sometimes seems, it often points to external pressures, particularly from leadership. Great players from other sports had to be unleashed by their coaches to truly thrive. Instead, Clark appears constrained, forced to play a certain way that stifles her natural game. The smiles are tighter, The body language stiffer, the fire flickering under a pile of confusion. Every game adds new difficulties: physical, mental, reputational. This isn't player growth. It's a public struggle. If the team doesn't find a clear direction, implement a coherent game plan, and get guidance that can differentiate between effective offense and chaotic flailing, Caitlyn Clark might need to reassess her path. If she sticks around much longer, we won't be watching a superstar rise. We'll be watching a potential legend struggle under apathy, inconsistent calls, and confusing tactical choices. Her authority, her leadership, that spark of command that once made her the absolute gravitational center of the basketball universe, is being dulled, diminished, removed. Her difficulties are creating buzz, her challenges are getting clicks. This is beyond character building. It's a slow, brutal, soul-draining process hidden behind a prominent league emblem. The league begged for her brilliance, and now they are letting her fade behind aimless plays and questionable rotations. She deserves better. The sport deserves better. And if this league has any interest in continued success, it needs to stop treating its brightest light like a potential problem. Because once Caitlyn Clark chooses to step away, and if things stay like this, she absolutely should. It won't just be her leaving. It'll be every fan who came for the magic and stayed for the hope. And when that happens, no amount of damage control or public relations efforts will save them, because the truth will be clear. They didn't just let the star fall, they pushed her. Every day, every play, every challenging moment, every non-call, every sign of dismissiveness from the bench. They didn't nurture her, they erased her, and they'll be left wondering why the lights went out after they extinguished their own flame.